This is the Fox 25 News at 9.
Good evening, everyone. Let's start things off by taking a live look outside. It's another cold night out in the metro, but of course not as bad as last night. We've got a chance for some strong storms and even a tornado risk on the way tomorrow night. So let's start things off by talking with Fox 25 meteorologist Ross Muma. He has your back on this tonight. So Ross, what can we expect coming up?
Hey, good evening, David, and good evening, everybody. We've got some big changes on the way for tomorrow. Major severe weather threat. We have an enhanced to a moderate risk for severe weather across much of central and western Oklahoma. Storm Prediction Center upgraded this risk earlier this afternoon. Main threats tomorrow evening going to be wind gusts upwards or in excess of 80 miles per hour, up to golf ball sized hail, and we also will have an isolated tornado risk as well as our next weather maker and line of storms moves through tomorrow evening. But for the time being, everything's pretty quiet outside right now. Temperatures in the low 40s. We got 41 degrees in Oklahoma City. Mostly cloudy skies, and that's generally going to continue overnight tonight. Temperatures today really weren't all that warm, especially for this time of the year. Typically, we're in the mid 50s. Today, we were stuck in the 30s most of the day, finally making it into the low 40s just a few hours ago here this evening. Now, overnight tonight, we're going to be staying in the 40s, staying cloudy with the chance for a few stray to scattered showers as well. And those shower chances will continue throughout most of your Sunday tomorrow, too. And then as we get into the late afternoon and evening, that is when that storm threat is going to start to increase. Initially, across the panhandles in far western Oklahoma between about 3 to 7 p.m. tomorrow afternoon and evening. And then after 6 p.m., that is when the rest of us are going to see a chance for some very strong to severe storms, especially with the threats of straight line wind gusts and also an isolated tornado risk as well. So you're going to want to stay tuned. I've got a lot more on this. I'm going to be timing out those threats and the timing of the storms when they might come through your backyard coming up for you in just a little bit.
Thanks, Ross. With Oklahoma's first severe weather chance of the year coming tomorrow, Fox 25's Katie Arata spoke with an expert about how to stay safe. Now, he had those classic tips like it's time to clean your shelter, closet, basically whatever your safest place is. And make sure you have helmets, shoes, flashlight, weather, radio, water, and a phone charger bank on hand. He says it's all about how you respond when a warning is called.
So that's the time to go to your safe space. Gather up your pets, your family, get there as quick as you can, helmets on, shoes on, things to protect your head, especially if you don't have a safe room and you're just in a closet. Get everything quickly together as quick as you can. Don't panic. Run through this a couple of times before this event happens. But that's the time when that warning is issued to take action and stay there. Have your phone with you, have your weather radio with you. Stay there until the warning has expired.
Now, he also says to take a home inventory, recording everything in your home on video for insurance purposes, and take a walk around your home and look for loose items outside that could become dangerous debris. A man is now in custody after 8 people were stabbed during a large fight at a Bricktown club early this morning. Fox 25's Katie Arata spoke to some witnesses. So Katie, what did you learn?
Yeah, David, 19-year-old Derek Walker was arrested earlier today, facing 2 counts of assault with a dangerous weapon and 1 count of assault with a deadly weapon. The stabbing happened at Pink Parrot, a nightclub in Bricktown, at about 1:30 Saturday morning, and witnesses say the scene was chaotic.
Last night I came out to kind of see what was going on in the streets, and there was some fighting and some different people letting out of the couple bars on the end of the street here. Police say a large fight broke out inside of the club, and officers who were already outside saw the fight occurring, with several injured people exiting the club onto the sidewalk. There was a big police presence, but with that many people in the evenings, it's pretty tough to handle and keep a hold on to. Officers say they saw 2 people who were bleeding profusely and had what appeared to be serious stab wounds. Officers immediately responded and began applying tourniquets and direct pressure to try and save their lives. Police say 2 people are in critical condition and 6 have minor injuries. Officers say the cause of the fight is still unknown, but people say the area is familiar to violence at night. Friday and Saturdays have been pretty wild at bar close for the last couple weeks when everybody lets out at the same time.
Now, police are still investigating. They say additional charges are likely. We will continue to follow this story and keep you updated with the latest right here on Fox 25. Reporting live in studio, Katie Arata.
Thank you, Katie. A fatal crash this morning in Ponca City just after midnight. Officials say a vehicle left the road, struck a guide wire, and rolled an unknown amount of times. The driver of the vehicle, 67-year-old Hayden Jones, was ejected. EMS declared him dead at the scene, and the cause of the crash is still under investigation. And the identity of the inmate found dead in their cell at the Cleveland County Detention Center has been released. Joe Allen Sims Jr. was found hanging in his cell around 5 p.m. on Friday. Officials immediately began life-saving measures, but they say Sims was already dead. A joint investigation is being conducted by CCSO and the OSBI. This is the third death reported at the jail since December. Civil rights groups accuse Oklahoma of stalling for time to protect a law which bans discussion of race and gender in the classroom. HB 1775 went into effect this school year, and teachers say they don't know what they can and can't teach. Sam Gelfand from our sister station in Tulsa reports the 10 plaintiffs challenging HB 1775 say the law is too vague.
OU professor Michael Givell is one of the many educators involved in the lawsuit against HB 1775.
I had a conservative-oriented student the other day say, well, why aren't you all talking about race and culture in the classroom? Great question.
Genevieve Bonadias-Torres is trying the case. She says it goes back to an executive order by then-President Trump, which was later declared unconstitutional.
And it's from that we got HB 1775 that copies, I think it's 8 of the 9 concepts that were in Trump's executive order.
You'll see that the language is utterly vague.
And therein lies the problem.
There's constitutional law that says that a law cannot be vague to the extent that a reasonable person does not understand when they are violating it.
Megan Lambert of the ACLU says teachers don't, and it's hurting students.
When students do not see themselves reflected in the curriculum, they do not perform as well academically.
But the lawsuit is moving at a snail's pace with no response from the state of Oklahoma until now.
They have had over a year to file either a motion to dismiss or now a motion for judgment on the pleadings to request the court kick out our case.
Bonadias-Torres says the judge never answered their request to put the law on hold, and only now has the state asked the judge to throw out the case.
And so it's highly rare for this type of last-minute, exceedingly late motion to be filed.
Lambert says they're dragging this out to keep the law in effect.
They're seeing the results in Oklahoma classrooms that they were looking for.
But Professor Givell says teaching about race and gender isn't just lawful, it's patriotic.
It's being more of an American to understand America in totality, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
And today, Raindrop Turkish House and the Dialogue Institute of Oklahoma hosted a mini Turkish food festival in support of the Turkish and Syrian victims of the recent earthquakes. They say the impact hits home for them, with several community members losing close loved ones in that disaster.
It's difficult. It's difficult to see your loved ones suffer, go through these difficult times, these tough times, because you cannot be there physically. Because of that, I always say, words cannot express our sorrow, because all of us are struggling that this earthquake happen and hit the southeastern Turkey, and hundreds of thousands of people have been impacted in one way or another. But at the same time, you cannot just sit and watch your people suffer. So you have to respond in a way you can.
They sold food, drinks, handmade art and crafts items, anything they could to raise funds to help their community. The earthquakes have caused widespread devastation and loss of more than 45,000 lives across the region. Moving on, the Naysayers Motorcycle Club took to the streets early this chilly morning, inviting all who ride to their 5th annual Frozen Butt Run. All proceeds from the run were donated to Bethany Children's Center charity. They say they're riding for kindness and community.
We do this out of the kindness of our hearts. We are who we are, and we enjoy riding. We enjoy getting together with these other clubs, the church groups, just riding from all around the state, bringing our brotherhoods together.
They say the turnout varies, but usually brings in anywhere from 150 to 400 riders. This is one of 4 annual runs they do, but they invite those in need to reach out with their cause, and they would happily consider more. Well, it's known as the largest used book sale west of the Mississippi River. The 43rd annual Friends of the Library book sale is at the Oklahoma City Fairgrounds. They are offering thousands of affordable books and CDs, vinyl records, and more. They say they've got something that a screen just can't replace.
They still like to read. I've talked to a lot of people. They still like to have that book in their hand when they're sitting there at the house. They're trying to get back into getting their grandchildren to start reading.
Proceeds from that book sale are used to do more for our libraries and metro community. Recently, the Friends provided funding to help launch Dolly Parton's Imagination Library for most of Oklahoma County. To date, they have given more than $5 million in grants to the Metropolitan Library System. The man accused of shooting 5 people and killing 3 Wednesday in Florida has pleaded not guilty to one of the murders. 19-year-old Keith Moses claims he is innocent in the first-degree murder of Natasha Augustin. He is also accused of killing a journalist and a 9-year-old girl who was nearby. Charges for those 2 murders are still pending. The University of Central Florida mourning the loss of Dylan Lyons last night. The Spectrum News 13 reporter was shot and killed while on assignment Wednesday. The university hosted a candlelight vigil in front of the building where Lyons studied to become a broadcast journalist. His former professors mentioned his time as a student there and said they will always remember him as a dedicated reporter.
What happened on that street in Pine Hills was just total darkness. But what Dylan was doing and what he stood for and what every journalist stands for is to shine a light and to be a light in the world.
Lyons was a 2019 graduate of the school's journalism program. Current students dedicated their weekly newscast in honor of Lyons, using clips from his work as a student reporter. An independent committee is recommending a series of gun safety measures as part of suicide prevention efforts at the Department of Defense. Among the recommendations is raising the minimum age for service members to buy guns and ammunition to 25, and implementing a 7-day waiting period for gun purchases on military property.
And while we recognize that suicide has no single cause, even one suicide, and that there's no single preventative action, treatment, or cure, even one suicide is too many, and we will exhaust every effort to promote the wellness, health, and morale of our total force.
The Pentagon established the panel last year, hoping to bring down suicides in the military, which have been increasing over the past 15 years. The panel noted about 66% of all active duty military suicides are done with firearms, and more than 70% for National Guard and Reserve members. The federal government today pumping the brakes on the disposal process of toxic waste from East Palestine, Ohio. The Environmental Protection Agency will now review Norfolk Southern's plans for the contaminated material. The agency stepped in after officials in Texas and Michigan said they were unaware the contaminants were being sent to their states.
We did hear from residents who were concerned and others in a number of states, and we're reviewing the transport of some of this waste over long distances and finding the appropriate permitted and certified sites to take the waste.
Officials are working to start up the removal process as soon as possible. About 2 million gallons of firefighting water from the train site was expected to be disposed in Texas, and roughly 500,000 gallons are already there. Coming up next, no official word from Biden on his bid for 2024 re-election, but someone closest to him seems to say it's going to happen soon. And further sanctions issued against Russia just after the 1-year mark of their invasion of Ukraine. The latest on that, what is being done, and the effects it's causing. Coming up next on Fox 25. President Joe Biden directs federal agencies to go door to door in East Palestine, Ohio, to check in on families affected by the toxic train derailment. Under the order, teams will visit homes beginning today. And according to the White House, the agents will ask residents how they're doing and connect them with resources from the government and nonprofits. The First Lady is showing signs her husband will run for a second term. Joe Biden says the president has, quote, not finished what he started, and that the final phases for a 2024 campaign are currently in the works. Now it's unclear, though, when Biden will announce his bid for re-election. Ukraine's president marked the one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion, saying, quote, every tomorrow is worth fighting for. Zelensky spoke with troops, handed out awards, and met with wounded fighters. He argues Ukraine cannot negotiate with Russia for an end to the war until Russia pulls back. Ukraine's foreign minister had this message for Moscow while addressing the UN Security Council today.
The more and the longer you will keep attacking Ukraine, the more resolve we will have, and the more humiliating your defeat will be.
Ukraine is getting ready for another military push. Poland delivered 4 Leopard tanks, and the Prime Minister says more are on the way. The European Union today agreed to put new sanctions on Russia. Officials placed asset freezes on 3 Russian banks, as well as 7 Iranian entities that the EU thinks is supplying military drones to Moscow. It's the 10th round of sanctions the 27-country bloc has imposed on Russia since the Kremlin invaded Ukraine. The union's foreign policy chief yesterday claimed the long-term effects of these measures are starting to already show.
This year is going to be a much more difficult year for the Russian economy. And from the technological point of view, from the economic point of view, Russia is going to pay a big price for this war. The sanctions work, but they work slowly.
The EU's previous sanctions have targeted nearly 1,400 Russian officials and more than 170 organizations. Despite international opposition, Israel's government is moving forward with settlement homes in the West Bank. It's just approved over 7,000 new homes set to be built in territory occupied by Palestinians. The UN Security Council criticizes construction on that ground, and the U.S. says it undermines hopes for a two-state solution, but hasn't taken any action to stop it.
We believe it's incumbent on both parties, Israelis and Palestinians, to take steps that, in the first instance, don't further escalate tensions.
More than 700,000 Israelis lived in the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem. Those territories were captured by Israel in the 60s, but Palestinians want them for a future independent state. 2 more detainees have been released from the Guantanamo Bay military prison. U.S. officials said Thursday that 2 brothers were returned to Pakistan. The pair held at Guantanamo Bay for 2 decades were accused of helping al-Qaeda with housing. They were never charged with a crime. 32 detainees remain at Guantanamo Bay after their release. And a rising danger on the road, something lawmakers are hoping to fix before more people are killed. Trying to get drivers going in the right direction. That's next on Fox 25. New tonight, the chances of you getting into a head-on collision with a driver going the wrong way are getting even bigger. Hundreds of people die from this scenario every year. Janae Bowen with the National Desk joins us now with what states are doing to stop these deadly crashes.
Experts tell me fatal wrong-way driving crashes are increasing, and impaired drivers are largely to blame. Behind every death, heartbroken loved ones desperately wish things were different.
19-year-old Ayla Dudley won't live out her dreams of becoming a hairstylist, and her family now left with just memories.
Ayla was so young and he was just starting life.
A wrong-way driver collided with Ayla head-on. She died on the scene, and the other driver died as well.
While these are not the most common of crashes, they tend to be the most severe because they happen at night.
they happen at high speed, and you have two vehicles coming and hitting each other head on.
AAA spokesperson Andrew Gross says the number of fatal wrong-way crashes is growing. Their latest data shows over 2,000 deaths between 2015 and 2018. That's an average of 500 deaths per year. Now that's up 34% from the 375 deaths annually from 2010 to 2014. Gross says more can be done to save lives.
Not just a simple sign, you know, the red metal sign that says wrong way. Something that's illuminated, something that will have daytime and nighttime light patterns to catch your eye.
And we're seeing these types of updates across the country. Massachusetts has launched a $2.6 million pilot program installing wrong-way sensors throughout the state. When a driver is going the wrong way, lights will flash to alert the driver and law enforcement. Similar efforts are happening in Connecticut and Kentucky as well, to hopefully prevent more lives from being taken too soon.
It's just a tragedy altogether.
These wrong-way detection systems have worked in other parts of the country. Rhode Island and Texas have both seen success with their programs. San Antonio alone saw a 30% reduction in wrong-way driving incidents within just 1 year, thanks to the new technology. Reporting for the National Desk, I'm Janae Bowens.
Coming up this week on Full Measure, China is making a major move in America's backyard, spending billions of dollars on projects that give it influence and control. Scott Thuman reports from South America and tells why it matters to all of us. We'll have a report that exposes a surprising and often secretive extra source of income for some scientists on the government payroll. One watchdog explains why many see it as a conflict of interest. And many considered her the most powerful woman in the world. Angela Merkel is out after 16 years as Germany's leader. I'll report from Germany on why, and a surprising claim about her dynamic with Donald Trump. This week on Full Measure.
A recent pill authorized by the FDA could potentially be the answer for your gut health. It's not medicine, but let's just say this pill has experts buzzing. Up next on Fox 25.
And our next weather maker is just about here, coming in tomorrow night, bringing with it a chance for wind, hail, and tornadoes. I've got it all covered for you coming up right after the break.
A new vibrating pill appears to have a whole lot of spontaneous potential. Medical reporter Liz Bonis shares why this may help your stomach in many ways.
Hey there, everybody. This new vibrating pill was approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration last August, but the therapy just became available for healthcare providers to prescribe it. It works to ease the symptoms of chronic constipation, and it's the first of its kind to do this, giving patients a non-drug option for treatment.
It's about a 1-inch capsule that you swallow, which goes into the colon.
And it's going to go into the colon, and in the colon, it's going to vibrate for about 16 seconds in 3-minute cycles, and it's going to do that twice a day. And after the second time it does it, it becomes inactive, is passed out through the bowel. And there's some positive secondary effects that patients saw of that.
Michelle Dodds is a family nurse practitioner and an assistant professor of nursing at Ohio's Cedarville University. She says one of those positive secondary effects may include that the vibrating pill may help retrain the brain to stimulate the colon.
And because for a lot of people with chronic idiopathic constipation, they don't have proper peristalsis. The brain's not sending that message properly. So I think those are definite positives about this.
A study of more than 300 people at about 90 centers nationwide in the journal Gastroenterology found when used for 8 weeks, those who took the vibrating capsule had about twice the number of complete spontaneous bowel movements compared to those who took a placebo. That means, in addition to adding more foods with fiber and activity to your day, Michelle Dodd says this could also improve good gut bacteria.
The fact that this is just a medical device and not a medication can really spare the microbiome of the gut and really help our immune system.
Chronic constipation does tend to impact more women than men, more people of color compared to those who are white, and more of those who are of lower income status, which may also speak to having access to healthy foods such as fruits and vegetables that are higher in fiber. I'm medical reporter Liz Bonus. Now back to you.
And speaking of stomach issues, man, this upcoming forecast isn't making me feel so good. Let's just say that. Hey, Ross, why don't you tell us about it?
Oh, you just couldn't help yourself, David. Well, good evening. Hey, I can't blame you. I can't blame you. Well, yeah, we do have a pretty dicey and spicy Sunday evening tomorrow as the next weather maker comes in. Very strong system bringing an enhanced to moderate risk for severe weather across most of central and especially the western half of Oklahoma here. Southwestern and west central Oklahoma included now in that 4 out of 5 moderate risk tomorrow evening. Main threats with this that you're going to want to be aware of: winds in excess of 80 miles per hour. So that's going to be straight line winds out of these thunderstorms. Golf ball sized hail is a possibility, as are a few isolated tornadoes as well. So initially, we generally have some very good ingredients for a pretty typical severe weather day here across the state. We're going to have very strong southerly flow at the surface, so fairly strong surface winds, upwards of about 25 to 30 mile per hour gusts throughout our day. Tomorrow, we've got a lot of vertical wind shear as well, which means as you go vertically aloft in the atmosphere, the winds just above the surface are very, very fast and very, very strong. And then our last and likely the biggest key for tomorrow is how much moisture return we can get from the Gulf of Mexico to get some of those dew points back up into at least the upper 50s, if not the lower 60s. That's really going to be the fuel for those storms late tomorrow afternoon and then throughout tomorrow evening. So throughout most of your day, you shouldn't have too much to worry about. Temperature's going to be into the upper 50s by lunchtime and then might top out in about the low to mid 60s in a few places by tomorrow afternoon. I mentioned those winds, gusts upwards of about 30 miles per hour, and you might see a few stray to scattered showers throughout the daytime hours. But by the time about 4 or 5 o'clock rolls around, that's when things are going to start to go and fire off out there across the panhandles. Oklahoman and Texas panhandles are first going to see those discrete individual supercell thunderstorms, and with the vertical wind shear that we have, those storms going to be able to rotate rather quickly, and that will also give way to the possibility of some tornadoes as well out there. Now, we're expecting this line of storms to kind of develop right along the Texas and Oklahoma border there by about 5 to 6 p.m. tomorrow evening. Now, as that line forms, this line of storms is really going to pick up speed. Could be moving anywhere from about 40 to 50, if not 60 miles per hour. So once the line of storms forms, it is going to book its way across the state here. Very, very strong straight line winds are going to be possible as this line forms, along with that chance for a few little spin-ups that are embedded within this line. So could see a few what we call QLCS tornadoes develop within this line as it moves through the Oklahoma City metro area then between about 8 to 10 p.m. tomorrow evening. After about 11 o'clock then, a lot of the rain and storms begin to fizzle out as they move further and further to the east. So our tornado risk tomorrow, it's not huge, but the western and northwestern parts of the state do have at least a low chance of isolated tornadoes. If you do happen to see one, they will be moving very, very quickly, so you likely won't have much lead time if a warning is issued. Now, we also have a chance for some golf ball sized hail, but that is likely probably going to be the least of our worries, as the wind is really going to be that biggest threat. Again, upwards of 80 to, if not 90, 100 mile per hour straight line winds that can really just completely level a field or an orchard or anything like that. So you're going to want to be mindful of that. Take any warnings that you get very, very seriously tomorrow evening. So coming across western Oklahoma by about 5 to 6 p.m. tomorrow through the metro area between about 8 to 10 p.m. Afterwards, one more thing to keep in mind, the winds behind it also going to be very, very strong winds or gusts anywhere from about 40 to 50, if not nearly 60 miles per hour. This is not associated with the storms, just going to be very strong wind gusts behind it. Good news, after that storm system clears on out, rest of our week is looking pretty quiet. Temperatures staying warm in the upper 60s and lower 70s for Monday and Tuesday.
And up ahead, experts say employers want to give raises this year. Of course, that sounds great, but a big bump might be doing more harm than good. why economists are saying a smaller raise might be a better one. With inflation at 6.4%, pushing prices up for our groceries, rent, and other everyday needs, who wouldn't want a raise? Well, the good news is a new survey predicts most of you will get one this year. Although the bad news is it might not be enough to overcome rising costs. Janae Bowens with the National Desk joins us one more time with more on the difficult balance.
I spoke with a woman who says prices are so high she stopped buying eggs and ground beef altogether. They're just too expensive for her budget. She says a raise would mean the world to her and her grandsons.
I don't receive food stamps, so I work paycheck to paycheck.
Darlene Young struggles to take care of herself and her grandsons, Carter and James Jr., who she has full custody of.
With the food costs, it's hard to keep, to keep food.
Darlene has to rely on extra help from a nonprofit to make ends meet. So a raise would make a huge difference for her family. PayScale, a compensation software and data company, just released a new report that shows the majority of employers plan to give their employees raises this year.
We are also seeing higher pay increases planned than last year, which is also a big year for pay increases.
That sounds nice, but PayScale's Associate Director of Content, Amy Stewart, says there's just one problem.
It is not as high as inflation.
The reality is, with inflation at 6.4% and recession fears, some employees getting a raise might not feel it. 80% of organizations say they plan to give raises this year. 56% say that the average raise will be over 3%, but few organizations plan to give raises over 5%.
I think that smart employers will make sure that raises are sufficient to retain workers so that they will feel it. And that may mean higher raises for lower wage income earners who are more impacted by inflation, but it's going to depend on the business.
If Darlene does get a raise, she's hoping it will give her and her family some breathing room.
Would help a lot with, purchasing food. Or if I needed to get my grandson something, shoes or something or clothes, that would actually help.
Experts with PayScale tell me rising wages are one of the reasons that might be keeping inflation high. And so these smaller raises might actually help cool the economy and bring those high prices down. Reporting for the National Desk, I'm Janae Bowens.
OU and Oklahoma State are both making their final strides and pushes to their conference tournaments in just 10 days. We've got highlights from their games from earlier today, plus a check-in on the baseball and softball teams from around the state. That's coming up in sports right after the break.
This is Fox 25 Sports.
After a 9-point loss to the Suns in Phoenix last night, the Thunder had the night off this evening, but with just over 20 games left in the season, it's soon going to be crunch time for the Thunder, and they aren't really all that far off from making the playoffs for the first time since 2020. The Thunder are just 3 games from reaching 500 right now, sitting at 11th place in the Western Conference. Only a game and a half separates teams 7 through 12 here, and they're only sitting 1 game back from the Utah Jazz, who currently own that final spot in 10th. So they've just got some must-win games ahead of them over about the next 2 months or so. And thankfully, the Thunder have a very nice home stretch over the next week. They've got back-to-back games against the Sacramento Kings tomorrow and then again on Tuesday night, followed by a game against LeBron James and the Lakers at the Paycom Center on Wednesday evening. Then with another doubleheader on the way with the Jazz next weekend. And a former Thunder player, Russell Westbrook, is back in L.A., this time with the Clippers after he cleared waivers with the Utah Jazz on Wednesday following a trade from the Lakers just a few weeks ago. And he comes back in a pretty historic game. The Clippers and the Kings go into double overtime in the second highest scoring game ever in the NBA. The teams combined for a record-tying 44 three-pointers. And after all that, Sacramento, they held on by just 1 point to win 176 to 175. And now to the collegiate side of things. We're only about a week and a half away from the conference tournaments, and teams are making their final push to make that NCAA tournament. And we're going to fast forward right ahead here to the second half in this one for OU. Jacob Groves hits one from behind the arc right in his face to give the Sooners the lead. up by 7 now, and Uzan with the drive and the dump out to Groves, who sinks it again, this time for the corner 3. Godwin. Sorry about that. Few mic issues there. Sooners lost in their game, unfortunately. Now to OSU, as you're seeing here, they are battling Kansas State, 14th ranked team in the country. Unfortunately, they also lose this one as well, 73-68. Now around the rest of the Big 12, third-ranked Kansas, they held on in a narrow 2-point win over West Virginia right here, 76-74. The Longhorns, horns down of course, they lost in a top 10 showdown with Baylor. And TCU, they make a last-second free throw to win it over Texas Tech, 83-82. And the Sooner women, they were also playing at the Lloyd Noble Center earlier today. Down by 8 here, but Kennedy Tucker finds Maddie Williams on the pass for the nice layup. The Sooners would battle back, but they really just completely fell flat in the second quarter, only scoring 6 points, and then Texas really cranked it up in the second half, dropping 24 on the Sooners in the third quarter and really just locking them up defensively. OU had a terrible day of shooting at just over 27%. Texas end up with the win pretty easily in this one. Longhorns take it 67 over the Sooners, who had 45. And now to the softball diamond. The Sooners are participating in the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic in California this weekend. They beat the Utes 10-3 in their first game today, then followed by a 10-5 win over Loyola Marymount in 5 innings. Both Tiari Jennings and Jada Coleman had home runs today, and hopefully they'll keep their bats swinging tomorrow ahead of a big game against top-ranked UCLA tomorrow morning actually at 11:30 a.m. And similarly, the Cowgirls, they were playing in the Troy Cox Classic, in New Mexico this weekend, and they didn't have any issues either. Ivy Rosenberry earned the win on the mound in an 11-run win over CSU Bakersfield, and then their second game ended in a 13-0 shutout with sophomore Megan Bloodworth hitting 2 homers for 4 RBIs. And the girls that will play in El Paso against UTEP at 1 o'clock then tomorrow afternoon. And Oklahoma State baseball now. They had a doubleheader with Loyola Marymount 2 in Stillwater this afternoon. First game went to plan with a 1-0 win off of a Nolan Schubar home run. Much higher scoring though in the second game, but unfortunately the Cowboys gave up 2 runs in the 10th inning to lose it 10-8. Meanwhile, here at home on a cold and overcast day in Norman, the Sooners were swinging away at Ryder. 1-1 bottom of the third, and Easton Carmichael here, he's about to hit a grounder up the middle, but brings home 2 runs for the 3-1 lead. Fast forward a little bit, and Sooners up 6-1 now. Bottom of the 6th inning, and Carmichael, he's about to hit another one. This time, he flies it into right center field. Center fielder goes for it. He makes a dive, but just misses it. And there goes that agonizingly long roll to the wall for the Ryder team. Carmichael makes it to third for the triple as he brings home another run. This one ends in a win for the Sooners, 7-2. And going on this weekend as well, the LIV Golf Tournament exclusively on the CW34, our sister station in Mexico. And this is tomorrow too, only on Fox 25. The next stop of the NASCAR Cup Series. Engines, they're going to be firing off at the Auto Club 400 at 2:30 tomorrow afternoon.
Well, on a clear night, if you look up, you'll see stars, the moon, and planets. And also up there, thousands of satellites, the majority put up there by the United States. Holly Menino from our sister station in Seattle reports on one local company whose job is to get those satellites to space.
3, 2, 1, 0. First motion.
A sight that doesn't get old.
Vehicle has cleared the tower.
A rocket blasting off into space at one time seemed rare, now a weekly occurrence. On many of those rockets lifting off from various places around the globe are satellites.
We're finding more and more applications for space.
Spaceflight is a company at the center of this space quest. Headquartered in Bellevue, it serves as a travel agent of sorts for companies that want to get their satellites into space. So far, spaceflight has launched nearly 500 satellites, the most recent in January. The other part of their business, space vehicles. Spaceflight created its own called the Sherpa Orbital Transfer Vehicle.
And think of it like if you ride the bus somewhere and your final destination is actually a mile beyond the bus stop, our orbital transfer vehicle will take you from where the rocket drops you off to your final destination.
A look inside their clean room in Bellevue where a Sherpa sits.
There's a number of satellites you can fit on there.
Spaceflight has 5 of these in orbit now. The Sherpa can carry 1 or more satellites from the rocket to its desired destination in space. This is video of that process. Satellites are deployed for a number of reasons, mainly for communication and navigation.
You see Earth observation, telecommunications, you can access areas of the globe that you can't access otherwise.
And on the horizon, their own moon mission.
We're actually going to go on a rocket, we get released, and then we're going to access a geostationary orbit, so a really high orbit, by doing a slingshot around the moon and then coming back to that geostationary orbit.
As space exploration advances, more companies want a spot in space. Spaceflight plans to take them there. Holly Menino, Como News.
One St. Louis bear seems to be quite the escape artist. Ben is back in his habitat after breaking out on Thursday, but this is the second time he got out. The first time was earlier this month when Ben meddled with the steel mesh of his outdoor habitat and the cable gave way. Even though zookeepers put on more security, he got through that too.
We review all of our habitats regularly. We are accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, so we are inspected regularly, and Ben will not be out again until we are absolutely sure that he won't be able to get through the mesh again.
Man, got to keep an eye out on Ben. Zoo officials say they're looking at other ways to make the habitat secure.
One last look here at your risk area for tomorrow. Again, enhanced to moderate risk. Main threats, wind gusts over 80 miles per hour, golf ball sized hail, and of course we will continue to see that isolated tornado threat across western and central Oklahoma. Make sure any tornado warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings, you take them very seriously. Those straight line winds can be just as damaging as any tornado. Make sure you have multiple ways to receive your watches and warnings tomorrow evening as well. Likely going to be coming through the metro between about 8 to 10 p.m. tomorrow evening. After that, rest of our 7-day forecast looking very nice. Sunny skies to start off the week with warmer temperatures in the 60s and 70s.